All right, team, how we doing? Coach Dana Cavalea here with you today, and I want to talk to you about energy, a very, very important word if you want to be able to compete over the long haul. In business and life, we have to have energy. Without it, we're in big trouble. So I want to talk to you today about energy and how you can create more of it and have more sustainable energy every single day. And I put together this little chart here that says eating for energy, and there's 3 rules as to how we can optimize our energy and how we can bring great energy into every single day. Now, I think we can all agree that most of us can find ourselves overeating frequently, or we know people that overeat frequently. We may not be one of them, but at times I'm sure we all are a bit guilty. So I came up with these 3 rules eating for energy. Rule number 1 is a feeding window. You may have heard about fasting, which is when you can't eat. Today I want to talk to you about when you can eat. And what we want to have is an 8 to 10 hour per day feeding window. And it's saying between this time and this time I eat, and the rest of the time I don't eat. You know, you think back to maybe your grandparents that used to eat around 4:30, 5 o'clock. You know, maybe they had the right idea. They had a very clear window. This is when they ate breakfast. This is when they had lunch. This is when they had dinner, which usually concluded quite early, which is a good thing for us to remember, because if we don't close our feeding window early, that means throughout the night when we're supposed to be recovering our body, our tissue at a cellular level, we're focused on digestion, which is what we don't want. So we want to be able to conclude eating 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6:30 at the latest, so that feeding window is closed and it opens back up again the next morning around, let's say, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or 10 o'clock. That way we have a good 12 to 14 hours of not eating. It allows our body to utilize the fuel that we have already consumed and taken in, and then the body's ready to receive again. One of the biggest issues that's out there today is that we overconsume, but we're also always eating. The 4 to 6 meals a day, is it something that's good or is it something that's bad? What I found is for those that are not competitive athletes, it's probably more bad than good, because most of the time we're spending during the day is seated or not performing high level activity, which is associated with a high caloric burn. So we're over consuming. So that brings us here to rule 2, which is 3 square meals a day. So your feeding window opens, let's say 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or 10 a.m., you have your first meal. 3 hours later, you have your second meal. 3 to 5 hours after that, you have your third meal. You're done for the day. The feeding window's closed. And within that time, you're taking in your calories, and the rest of the time, you're burning those calories. So it's important to remember the importance of an open feeding window versus a closed feeding window. When I talk about 3 square meals a day, that also is saying, hey, don't be snacking in between, because what you're training your brain on or to think is that, you know, I can just consume all the time, and the body doesn't know when it's taking in, when it shouldn't, what to hold, what to burn. So you're creating a lot of confusion. So you may say, hey, you know what? I'm not really hungry that often. You know, my appetite is sort of constant. And that's because, again, you have to retrain your body when it eats, when it doesn't eat, when it eats, when it doesn't eat, when it eats, and then that resting phase from eating, so you can utilize and use the fuel in which you take in. Now, how do we burn even more? We burn even more when we exercise on empty. So here's our feeding window, right? It's open 8 to 10 hours, then it closes and it opens up again 8, 9, or 10. Well, if you're going to eat at 8, if you exercise at 7 for an hour, you're going to burn down all those reserves, all that reserve calories and all that extra fuel that's in your cells, right? You're going to burn it down, and then your body's ready to receive its first meal. So it's important to think about exercising on empty. Have some water, have some lemon water, have a coffee, but for the most part, as it relates to solid food, exercise on empty. And that's why working out first thing in the morning is always very good, because it's always easier to exercise on empty when you haven't eaten all day. So something to really think about, and think about your schedule. When you work out, when you eat, it's all important. It's all connected. So I want you to think about that. These are the 3 rules. Feeding window, it's opened and it's closed. 3 square meals a day. Exercise on empty. Please, this is so important, and it'll help you re-regulate yourself, right? It'll get your body back on a scheduled eating plan. I eat at this time, and this time, and then I rest. How many times do we find ourselves one day eating at 7 a.m., another day eating at 9? Sometimes dinner's at 4. Not really, unless you're over 70. Sometimes dinner's at 6. Some nights it's at 7, 8, 9. It's all over the map. And the body craves consistency. And you can't forget that. It's your job as the operator of this system to give your body consistency, much like you do in every other aspect of your life. So don't forget that. Stay consistent. Remember the rules. I'll go over them again because I'm all about reinforcement. We eat for energy. Energy makes us competitive. Energy is a differentiator if we want to play our game hard for the long run. Feeding window opens 8 to 10 hours. It closes. It has a select start time in the morning. We have 3 square meals a day, and our goal is to always exercise on empty. And if we can do that, I'm telling you, everything's going to change for you. And we haven't even gotten into what we're eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but these are simple game rules that you can use to keep yourself calorically regulated so you're not over consuming. If your window opens up 10, 12 hours a day, that means half the day you're eating. Your body doesn't know what to do. It's confused. So just by squaring up your meals, eating at the same time, window open, window closed, you have a great chance to win and have sustainable energy and also re-regulate your appetite, right? Let your body get back on schedule. It's so important. So I wanted to share that with you. And when you combine a good, strong eating strategy with a great exercise strategy, and again, great meaning you do it Monday through Friday, you got a great chance to win. And that's my lesson for you this week. Please put it in play. I know it'll help you. I know it's super important, and it'll help you, again, train your body not just for appearance, but most importantly, function at a cellular level. And that's what it's all about. This is Coach Dana Cavalea, and I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. And thanks for letting me coach you. See ya.